News just came out that the Packers have decided to re-sign linebacker Isaiah McDuffie. It came out here from Jeremy Fowler. He says, sources, Packers are re-signing linebacker Isaiah McDuffie on a 2-year, $8 million deal with upside to $9.5 million. McDuffie has 183 tackles over the last 2 seasons. And now that we are getting closer to the start of the new league year, when other free agents, guys who don't get re-signed by the original teams, can start signing with other rosters around the league, we're starting to get, players that the Packers want to re-sign who are going to be their own, guys who had been on their team last year who are going to be free agents. We're starting to see some of these guys get signed. And the first one here we have today is Isaiah McDuffie with the Packers. And I wasn't sure if he was going to be back heading into 2025. I'm pretty sure, I was trying to look back to what I predicted, but I'm pretty sure I had the Packers keeping Eric Wilson instead of Isaiah McDuffie because both linebackers, McDuffie and Eric Wilson, were going to be free agents. And when you look at the special team snaps, Isaiah McDuffie played 146 special team snaps in 2024. Eric Wilson played 321. And so I went with the Packers keeping Eric Wilson. Now my question is, with them bringing back Isaiah McDuffie, will they also bring back inside linebacker Eric Wilson? Because the Packers already have Quay Walker, who I assume will get a long-term deal sometime this offseason. That's what I think is going to happen. And then you also have Edgerrin Cooper, who was playing lights out. So I'm just questioning if the Packers will also bring back Eric Wilson. So that's something to watch. And when we look at this deal for Isaiah McDuffie, as Fowler said, 2 years, $8 million deal with upside to $9.5 million. So I did the math. If you take, let's say you take the $9.5 million over 2 years and you sort of match that up to on a per year basis, Isaiah McDuffie, if we go with the $4.75 million per year, which is taking the $9.5 million upside, McDuffie will be the 37th highest paid linebacker at $9.5 million over the next 2 years. So the thing with this move is it's not like I'm not shocked that the Packers brought him back, because when you have a guy who has been consistently reliable, he has only missed 1 game in 3 years. He started all 17 games last season. He doesn't really deal with injuries, and so he stays healthy. I think to give him, this amount of money, I think it's a fine move for the Packers, and it makes him the 37th highest paid linebacker in the NFL. And of course, if he would have gotten, $10 million a year, something like that, I'd be more, I'd question this move. But when you're only paying him that much money in NFL terms, it's still a lot of money. I think that it's a fine decision by the Packers. And I think that there are a lot of signs that could have pointed to this happening. As I already mentioned, he has been consistently reliable. He's not great in coverage. He allowed a 129.6 passer rating last year. But one area where he was one of the better Packers players in 2024 among linebackers was in his tackles. He had a pretty low missed tackle rate, 10.2%, pretty solid. The only inside linebacker better than McDuffie was Quay Walker at 7.6% missed tackle rate. Eric Wilson was at 15.1%, Edgerrin Cooper 15.4%. So nearly 5% better missed tackle rate compared to Eric Wilson and Edgerrin Cooper. And so when you add up that reliability, you add up his ability on special teams as well, and you get him for a pretty cheap deal. He's just someone that's a very reliable player. And I was looking up some previous quotes from Packers coaches about McDuffie, and I think that, sometimes we don't see everything about these players and how they come into work every single day, how they operate. And here's one quote from an article from December of 2024 written by Jason Wilde at Madison.com. Here's a quote from Hafley on McDuffie. Hafley said, "He played about as physical and aggressive as you can imagine, and he definitely wasn't 100%. And there's a lot of guys that might not even have played on a short week," Hafley said. "You talk about what's right about the sport. I love that guy." So that's someone I think Hafley really respects. They were together during Hafley's time in Boston College for a period of time there, and so they already have that relationship before Hafley even came into Green Bay last offseason. So clearly he's someone that's very respected by Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. And here's another quote I found looking back from Packers inside linebacker coach Olive Vedati in 2023. This is an article from Matt Schneidman back in 2023. Here's a quote from the linebacker coach. "I said back when we first got him, nobody got into the playbook and taught himself the playbook as well as I've ever been around," Olive Vedati said. "Isaiah did the best job of anybody I've ever been around. Instead of being out on the field, he was just, okay, I'm going to make sure I know what the heck I'm doing all the time." And that's just who he is. I mean, he'll come into meetings now and go, "Hey, can we go to play 38? I've got a question on this." Just doing the work that he does is really impressive. And so while McDuffie may not be the same caliber of athlete like a Quay Walker or Edgerrin Cooper, guys who are, higher draft picks. And lots of times these guys who are first and second round picks, have that better athletic ability, sort of like the just overall athletes. And then, Mcduffie fall into the 6th round. Clearly people had questions about him, and he's not, a top tier linebacker, but he's very reliable. Clearly he is someone who knows what he's doing all the time. And the Packers clearly trust him out there, considering he started 17 games this past season. And when you look at the fact that with him starting 17 games, the Packers had one of the better defenses in the league. He was a part of that defense. So all in all, I think it's a fine decision to bring him back at the price the Packers have brought him back at. But if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe. I'll be out with more Packers content throughout the week, keeping up with free agent signings, all that kind of stuff in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you have the notifications turned on so you don't miss any Packers content. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.